Greetings, greetings, greetings. You're now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian, own nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening, replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. You are now tuned into the vault, episode 495, First Board of Trust. Definitely thankful that you're listening. Definitely hit the what is that? The like and the subscribe button. Always appreciate everybody that hits the like and the subscribe button to grow the channel. And definitely grow everything that we're about over at the vault when it comes to trusteeship, wealth preservation, family estate, and trustee training. So definitely excited about doing this episode. This is the vault, episode 495. First Board of Trust. Trust Christian, know nothing, control everything. Thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate it. This is episode 459, First Board of Trust, and we definitely want to do an episode that came around via, just consultations throughout the years. First Board of Trust. This deals with the fact that when you're putting together the board, we're going to talk about some of the key essential positions and those positions and how to interact with those positions as well interacting with well, who do you really need on your team? Of course we can trust who do you need on your team. We can talk about some of the roles that they may have and things of that nature. So we're going to talk about that today. So we're going to start out by just going over some of the positions that most people end up having and they put these people to use. And a lot of times we'll talk about, the frequency in which people ask about these people. So the first thing is going to be pretty easy, which is the board, which is you may sit on the board, may not sit on the board, which could be a bookkeeper, could be an accountant, could be a tax preparer, could be an enrolled agent. These are the people that sit on your first board of trustee. So we definitely appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always feel free to let us know where you're tuning in live or listening to replay from. Feel free to hit the like and the subscribe button. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. This is the Vault, episode 495. Once again, first board of trust. This is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with whereas a senior trustee, most of the families that we end up engaging with, they're first gen. They're the first, family member sitting on the board. So they're the first board of trustees sitting on the first board of trust. And in turn, they're dealing with a lot of first gen startup problems or challenges that we all go through. It's nothing wrong with having to put together an administrative team, and so the administrative team that we have and the administrative team that we train people to have definitely includes some type of bookkeeper. It doesn't have to be an accountant, but it is someone that goes over the books every 30 days with the trustee. Period. Those are you're sitting in a financial meeting and you're making decisions, you're gathering information for the betterment and the furthering of the pretty much trust, the contract, whatever you're working with. So that's the first thing as we talk about the accountant, quote unquote, the bookkeeper. A lot of times, a lot of people they get in trust and they don't know that they can spend maybe a little bit less money with a bookkeeper. You don't necessarily need to have a accountant. It's good to have one though. The second position that we have for the first board of trust is the lawyer. This may be somebody that they may not be inside of trust with the trustees, but they are on the board, meaning that they give counsel. That's generally what lawyers do. They give counsel. We have conversations with these people about legal matters. These people help protect you in legal matters, help protect the trust in legal matters. People say, "Oh, on the forced board of trust, I'm gonna go find my uncle Larry. He's a lawyer and he's a personal injury lawyer." Well, what does that have to do with trust? Those are two different areas of expertise. In turn, it's rather important to find people that are experts, quote unquote, in the board of trust or trusteeship. Very, very important. And that's something that we talk about all the time with our trustees is you not necessarily need a lawyer. We have a short actually on YouTube that says you don't need a lawyer until you need a lawyer. So it's not so much that you don't need a lawyer. It's you need them when you need them, and you need a specific one when you need them. You don't need a personal injury attorney until you get some type of personal injury. Just like in trust, you need not necessarily a trust lawyer, but you need a contract lawyer for sure. Contacting those people locally is going to be very advantageous, very important to find a lawyer that is familiar with contracts, trust, and things of that nature. So, very specific. If you're talking private, then you know you're going to be talking to them privately, but that's the focus is you're talking private about trusteeship. First board of trust. First board of trust outside of that lawyer who's a contract lawyer. We even tell people business litigation attorneys. Business litigation attorneys are going to be able to help the trust and defendant it in specific matters. They have real estate lawyers, ladies and gentlemen. They got property attorneys, ladies and gentlemen. Traditionally, they're going to be under the business setting. So when you're searching, that's how that looks. So the first board of trustees, first board of trust, actually. We talk about the first board. We're talking about maybe an account, maybe a what is that? A bookkeeper, and then we're talking about possibly a lawyer. Different. It lets you know what type of lawyer you're talking about. But let's just get into some of the ancillary small things where now that we have those two people in place, let's focus on the experts that are in the environment. If you're in real estate, it's rather important to get someone that's in real estate, an attorney that's in real estate, so they can help defend the trust for matters of real estate. When you're dealing with other matters, the trust may have other parties that they're going to deal with. It's never one of those things where you're limited, but there are things that people are limited to doing. And in turn, for that reason, it's rather important for us to surround ourselves with people that are experts at what they do, real estate attorneys that are experts, other people that are experts at what they do. It depends on your business. It depends on the business that the trustees are in. Uh, and that's rather important. A lot of times people say, "Oh man, is it really focused on the industry that I'm in?" Definitely, very focused on the industry that you're in. Very much so focused on experts in the field, uh, and the trust may have multiple businesses. Well, it's rather important for multiple businesses to have individuals, experts, or otherwise that are very knowledgeable about that particular subject and sitting on the board. Now remember, they don't own anything, but they control assets. So these people shouldn't be hard to find, and we're going to share why. Because when we first initially started talking to our mentors and we got relationships with our mentors, they actually told us they would sit on our boards as non compensated members. So when you are operating as a trustee, there are times where you may have people sit on the board and you don't compensate them, quote unquote. The trust may compensate them in other ways. That's how that works, ladies and gentlemen. So when you say, oh man, I don't know how to get good talent. I don't know how to attract good talent. You attract good talent by making quality offers. The first board of trust is, we get trustees coming to the program all the time and they say, oh man, this person doesn't want to do this. This person doesn't want to do that. Well, yeah, they don't want to do it because you're not giving them a enticing reason. The trust didn't give them an enticing reason. That's what has to happen. They have to have an enticing reason. No doubt about it. So that's where you are when you're building the first board of trust. And let's just continue going on. We talk about, what is the lawyer, the accountant, the industry expert. Industry experts could have more industry experts than lawyers or accountants. Could. Not recommended, but could. You have a lot of industry experts because the trust may own multiple business ventures and it may need people to sit on the board for expertise and experience. People come into the vault all the time for trustee training and they say, well, I don't have this knowledge. I don't have that knowledge. But what are you doing to surround yourself around the people that have this knowledge? Are you going to high net worth investor events? Are you going to trustee training events? Are you going to uh, banker events? Are you going to high net worth investor events? Are you going to those things? Appreciate Mississippi for tuning in live, listen, replay. Always appreciate Mississippi for tuning in live, listen, replay. This is the Vault, episode 495, First Board of Trust. What happened to the first board? Did they do their job? What is their job? Their job is to grow the assets and protect it for the benefit of the beneficiary. Okay, what if they're not doing that job? Well, in some cases, with our trusts that we're familiar with, they have a thing called a protector. Now, it's a very general term, but we see a lot of families that have them. We know of families that have them, and in turn, they're just somebody that, from what we've seen, they just look over, making sure that the trustees are doing their job. It's rare that people can know what the trustees are doing their job, especially in the private. But we have a lot of trustees that come to us. They're in the private, their families in the private, and they want to focus on maintaining their privacy. And that does call for at times enforcing the ability to view what's going on and the contract to make sure that what's going on is following the contract. The protector usually does that. We've run into that. Once again, may not even be a compensated individual. Just could be someone that's looking to maintain the records or at least make sure that the docs are being administered properly based off the senior trustee. I mean, based off the contract, based off of what they're looking at. That's where we are, ladies and gentlemen. The first board of trust deals with selecting proper people, selecting proper candidates. Okay, first board of trust. Are you thinking about your successor right now? Is it Trust Christian in the Vault? Who's your successor if you're in trusteeship? We get people come to the vault all the time. Oh, I have a trust. Well, if you have a trust, who's your successor? Your children? Are they trained? Do they have a specific education? It's very important to know that. That's why we're talking about it. The first board of trust, whether it's an accountant, it's a lawyer, it's a protector. That's what we're talking about. The protector. We're talking about so many small pieces. When you generally go into the first board, you're going to see industry experts. Um, you may see multiple attorneys. You may not see too many accountants. Uh, and you may see even beneficiaries trying to sit in the meetings. The first board has control over that, though. The contract has the control over that. It's very, very important to be aware of that. So the first board of trust is very, very important to build. That in turn means what? Going out and finding these people. We know people that will literally tell us they're working overtime and they cannot do it. Well, if you don't make the time to have a team, you won't have a team. The first board of trust is your first team in the private. Who did you select to be on your team? And are you doing it by yourself? That's the question, because if you're doing it by yourself, we know that there's only a certain number of hours of the day, and that's how that goes. Appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening, replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listening, replay. This is the Vault, episode 495, First Board of Trust. This is definitely one of those episodes where it makes you focus on, am I building a board? Or am I doing this by myself? We get a lot of trustees that do it by themselves. They go through the program, they're doing it by themselves. It's not healthy. It's very important to be doing it with other people. It's very important to be doing it with other people. 100%. No doubt about it. Appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listen, replay. We definitely was going to make this a short episode. First Board of Trust. We're definitely going to do another episode today. Or at least you'll look at the channel and we'll have another episode. And we'll definitely go forward from there. Look forward to catching up with you all. Christian at trustchristian.com via the email. Christian at trustchristian.com. We have open enrollment for Trustee Training right now. Once again, it's Christian at trustchristian.com.